It was all of these little breadcrumbs that were put in front of me along the way that led to my awakening, that spontaneous event. But even before I had that spontaneous event where I popped out of my body, I was receiving messages that something substantial was coming. Now, you may not be actively on a spiritual path. You may just be a normal person like me. I consider myself a normal person. I was working as an accountant, always had this interest in UFOs and and expanded multidimensional realities and greater realities and all those types of things. Just very interested in ETs and anything that really could be termed like kind of out there. But I didn't, wasn't controlled by that. That wasn't who I was in terms of a day to day basis. I was very much a normal person, and I still consider myself a normal person. I just am someone who didn't consciously make the choice to have a spiritual awakening per se, but was led to that by my higher self. And that changed my life in profound ways. It's so just important, such a message here I want to convey that you don't have to be locked away in a monastery or an ashram or into all of those like metaphysical types of lifestyles in order to experience this. When it is your time to experience an awakening, it is going to happen for you. Now, an awakening looks very different for different people. For me, it was a series of events that led up to just this opening up of multidimensional realities and higher levels of consciousness to the point where I had that spontaneous awakening where I popped out of my body. And shortly after that, my guides were present. The Galactics came forward. My Pleiadian guide came forward. I had so many amazing experiences with craft in the sky and communications, all that types of things. It was absolutely incredible. But for a lot of people, really, the awakening starts from a perspective of darkness, a point of darkness where maybe they're just not resonating with their current life anymore. Something deep within just is saying that there's something more to life than just this day to day grind. And it's navigating that darkness, which is the challenging part. And I had to go through that after my awakening. Now, you may not have had that spontaneous awakening, like I said earlier, but you still may be in the darkness. And that is the point where you are returning to your light, or your light is returning, right? We feel this absence of light, which creates the darkness. Maybe you're just in a nasty relationship that doesn't resonate, or a career or job, whatever it is in life for you, just doesn't seem right because you've got this inner calling inside. Now, inner calling to what? Well, it simply could be an inner calling to something greater. And your higher self and your guides are here. You're not yet perceiving them, but they're holding space for you to be able to start to expand and open up. That often involves letting go of the identities that held you to a lower dimensional field, right? To a third dimensional field. So you got to navigate into that darkness and start to really create that space, process those unprocessed emotions, release the fear, start to look at your limiting beliefs, to shift your mindset into one of expansion. And that means revisiting everything that has been controlling you on an unconscious level, right? That starts to come up and become conscious when you start to feel heavy, you start to feel maybe spiritually depressed, you start to feel down. These are signs that you are ready for this massive expansion. Now, I know a lot of people get stuck in that and they'll run off and they'll try to solve that in an external way, maybe through distractions or medication or chemicals, those types of things, right? But really what it is these old aspects of you ready to be seen. They're coming up, they want to be seen, they want to be felt so that you can finally move past them. You see, they've been in control for a long, long time. And when you can learn to accept those aspects of you, they serve their purpose in one way, shape, or form at some point in your life, right? But now it's time to expand beyond them and reach into that great unknown. Lean into that maybe uncomfortableness or that fear, right, of things changing. And that's how you start to really accept these new realities that are available to you right now. So for me, it was interesting because I had just like in your face experiences coming at me. And here I was again, just like this normal guy. I've got a family, right? Had a career, and all of these things started happening. I didn't ask for it. I wasn't really looking for it, but it was time in my journey. So some of these things can't be forced. When you're ready for it, it happens. I know people will separate themselves. So maybe go travel. They'll go to like I said, to these sacred places to try to facilitate some of these. You may be actually called to these spaces as well, and that's part of your process. But maybe something big doesn't happen there like happened to me, right? Maybe you're just starting to lean into this and you're following your guidance, and that's awesome as well. But you don't have to really get into all of this mystical woo-woo kind of stuff to have a spiritual awakening. If you are watching this video, and by the way, if you recently found me, you have not yet subscribed, go ahead and click that subscribe button and hit the like button on this video. I would really appreciate it. If you're here listening to this, there's something within you that has brought you here or has brought this to you. Maybe you opened up YouTube and my video was there. So that is a message for you. That is something for you to sit with and to accept and to lean into it a little more and follow your guidance, right? For me, in the beginning, it was very much like that. Things would come up and I would just really instinctively kind of follow them without even questioning it. So if you're starting to have those types of experiences where things are coming into your perspective, into your perception, into your reality, and you feel like I need to take an action on this, or I need to listen to this or read this or whatever it is, without question, go ahead and do that, because those are those little breadcrumbs like I've talked about. You don't have to sit and wait and maybe start to feel bad or judge yourself. Maybe you're not doing something right. If you're meditating for hours a day and nothing's happening for you, that may not be your path. That wasn't for me. I was listening to my rock music playlist when I popped out of my body that day, right? I was not sitting there thinking about having an awakening. It was time, my vibration was right, and this greater reality just dropped in, and that completely changed my life. But I followed the breadcrumbs that led up to that, and I did it instinctively without questioning it. It's almost like I just, on some level, knew. So if you find yourself opening videos or watching certain TV shows, and things like that, just instinctively, without really questioning as to why, you just know it deep down, you're just led into it, that is your guidance system guiding you towards this expansion. So you need to allow that to happen. Again, if you're forcing it through meditating for a long, long time, and then you're feeling like I can't quite quiet my mind, I'm not doing something right, maybe this isn't right for me, or you're just doing all of these spiritual techniques. Maybe you're loaded with crystals. You keep getting crystals, right? Well, if I create the right space around me, then I'm going to have these experiences, or I'm going to have an awakening, right? You're forcing it, okay? If you're interested in this, there's a reason you're interested in it. And just quiet your mind down. Follow your guidance. Trust that you will be navigated along this journey, breadcrumb by breadcrumb by breadcrumb, without having to force it. If it's time for you to expand or start to awaken to an expansion, that is going to be what happens for you. If you're interested in watching this, like I said earlier, you're already well on your way. Just gracefully flow with the information that comes into your experience and allow that to guide you. There is no need to force anything. There is no one trick pony for this. Like, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this in order to have an awakening, okay? All you have to do is really trust. Trust that you're being guided. Trust that you're on the right path. Don't force anything. Just sit with what comes up. Your intuition will start to get clearer. And just keep an eye out for all those breadcrumbs, because they're always available to you. But when we distract ourselves, when the mind comes in and says, okay, you need to be meditating for 4 hours a day, right, in order for this to happen, you're distracting yourself. Because in my waking state, much of my awakening was just how I'm talking to you right now. Just normal waking days. Wasn't in meditation. It wasn't when I was sleeping. It wasn't through dreams. It was through very real awake, during the day experiences, just normal experiences. A lot of them happened when I was working in my office as an accountant. Okay. It was happening like that. There wasn't all of this woo woo, all of this crazy stuff, all of this time meditating. None of that was happening. It was just coming into my experience because it was time for it to happen. So trust that your journey will unfold as it should. Don't resist that, right? Just stay as aligned and centered as you can. Lean into that trust. Keep your perspective open, your eyes open, your ears open for those breadcrumbs. They'll come through to you. You'll start to perceive them. You'll know that you're on the right path. You won't have to dive into these weird woo-woo practices, right? You'll just be able to flow gracefully through your awakening. And as you do, more of these multidimensional expansive realities will start to flow through you and into your experience. If you want to learn more about how I navigated that process, go ahead and register for my free masterclass. There's a link in the description. So thank you so much. I'll see you next time.